Welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. First week of the Audible Call in the books. Still got one game going on right now, but I'll tell you what. Week one, wow. We had some teams that come out and said, all right, here we go. We had some teams that won late in the fourth quarter, had one overtime game. That's all you can ask for. I mean, just some great football around the area this evening, and I love it. I mean, what a way to get things moving and grooving here at YSN in our new digs at the Athletics.
I mean, unbelievable, right? This is about as good as it gets. Like we talked about, anytime that you're like the football team, some of these football teams tonight, the first 5 complete chaos, and then all of a sudden it's you calm down, you get yourself under wraps a little bit, a little familiarity, and then you go from there. We saw some teams that struggled tonight. We saw some teams that we thought would struggle, didn't struggle, and now we're 1-0. And we saw some teams that we thought would be really good that are going to have to go back to the drawing board and look for week 2 for some answers.
Well, it's a great week, and every coach will tell you this. This is your first real live audition, and some teams passed it, some teams failed it, some teams struggled. I mean, Hubbard, I'm sure they're looking at their game going, wow, we survived. I mean, they got out of East, and that game was ugly. Jamie Thompson texted us at halftime, 102 yards combined and 6 turnovers. And as soon as we flipped it on, we had a 7th turnover right in the third quarter. So you look at that. If you're East, you got to be happy the way the defense played. But the offense, where was it? Was Hubbard's defense that good, or was the offense, and really on both sides, just struggled there all night?
And I mean, you look at East, they've taken big strides forward. I mean, You're talking about an East team that had trouble even getting on the field a couple years ago and last year. Now you're hanging in there with Hubbard, which is, like, again, one of the top programs in the entire area year after year, always winning programs. So good for East and Hubbard.
Good teams find a way to win, and that's exactly what happened. I'm sitting there, and it was late in the game, DJ, and I know you were watching it too, but they pooch punt, and they pinned East inside their 5-yard line. East got like 8 yards, and they had to punt, and it wasn't a great punt by any stretch, but Hubbard still had to show some guts to put that ball in the end zone, and that's where they struggled all night. So at least it ends from a positive standpoint there for them, but that East team gave them everything. I mean, they got something defensively to hang their hats on.
We got some guys popping in. One of the games that we just surprised. We thought it could be a barn burner. Neither one of us thought it'd be a blowout. Was South Range and Springfield, and a guy that was calling the action, Noah Doty, joins us back on the call. Whoa, look out. Noah, I mean, what an unbelievable game. Everybody wasn't sure about what they weren't sure necessarily about South Range. But the Raiders and David Rock and their new coach showed that South Range is still going to be South Range.
Unbelievable is a great way to describe it, DJ.
Are you there now?
They were so much. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Unbelievable is a great way to describe it, DJ. There was so much excitement from Springfield going into that game. Everyone was expecting it to be close. And it ended up getting to a point where they had the accelerated clock running for about a minute. Out of the gate, South Range came, and they were ready to just punch them right in the mouth, and they came out strong. Their line, both the offensive and defensive line, won the battle early and decisively, and that was a huge game changer. And Colton Rourke had really no options. Every time he was in the backfield, he was immediately flushed. He just couldn't get anything going. The cornerbacks for South Range or on top of their game, they shut down Shealy. The only way they were able to get him going is through the run game in the form of jet sweeps. And Sean Guerrero, outside of his excellent work on the punt team, he had some great punts. He was practically unheard of, and that's not something that's going to be typical of Springfield. These are their big playmakers, and South Range shut them down, and they shut them down early in the game. But props to head coach David Rock, who I got to speak to after the game. He had that team prepared and ready to go. They had a better playbook. They had more plays ready to run, and they opened up the offense faster than Springfield could.
I think that's the biggest thing is, David Rock, and I've said this all over, is he's a branch off the Dan Yeagley tree of coaching, and not only coaching, but he also played for him. So, one of the biggest things that people don't realize about South Range was the fact that there were a lot of people really rooting for David to get this job. And when he did, there was almost a sigh of relief across the community that the program is in not only good hands, but great hands. And the next generation of South Range football is here. There's a reason you're not seeing Dan Yeagley's face. He wants it to be David Rock's time. And I know he's incredibly proud tonight for win number 1 in the David Rock era at South Range.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the big thing, Noah, that you got to see, Billy Skurpak, that was one of the questions everybody kept saying actually use as a toy in multiple formations.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Tristan Toy. He came out, he was ready to throw, but the way he commanded his offense and was able to run like the play action, put the guys in motion, and just know when to hold on to the ball, what reads he needed to make, and he looked like he was on top of his game. He didn't. After the first half, though, they kind of laid back and they just went to the ground and pound. And they have quite a committee at running back. Springfield does as well. They were able to effectively get the run game going for a bit. But between Aiden Dominguez, Starkey, and Blake Ewert, that is a 3-headed horse that you don't want to have to try to stop. And Springfield found that early as they were unable to kind of tackle those guys with any continued success.
When you look at things, Noah, Springfield, what do they got to do next week? They've got a gauntlet as well. And this is a season that there's a lot riding on. You got a lot of good seniors, a lot of good players. What do they have to do to bounce back and reestablish the Springfield way?
Well, we talked to a couple coaches up in the press box after the game, and they weren't encouraged by what they saw, but they weren't discouraged either. They obviously, no one was happy with the result from Springfield's side, but they felt like they've been here before. They took a bad beating to South Range last year. This one just as bad. They ran that gauntlet last year with Brookfield and Geneva, and they even got Lowville, a great Lowville team that they lost to. They went 0-4 last year to start the season. I don't think they're going to go 0-3 this year. I think they're going to be able to get a win either against Brookfield or Geneva. They're going to bounce back. And they're just going to have to figure out ways to put Colton Rourke in a position to succeed. They tried to early, but their line was just getting beat up so bad by South Range. They couldn't put him in a position to pass the ball well, and they had to rely on the run game. And they had quite a few runs on first and second down that worked, but when it got short into those third down situations, South Range tightened up their line, and that's where they were beat. There was a successful couple of series. They had the ball. They scored a touchdown with like 1:17 left in the second. They were able to get an interception and then had a nice play down the sideline to Dylan Shealy. That was his one big catch of the game. And they put themselves in where they probably would have had another nice scoring drive, but with only 3 seconds left, they had to try a 45-yard field goal and with Caden Kosek. And that actually probably would have been good from about 35 yards. He's got quite a leg on him. Their whole special teams played well for Springfield, but they saw sparks of what they need to do exactly right, and then they saw sparks of what's going to kill them, and just missing tackles, missing open field tackles, letting guys bounce off of them. They were trying to hit too many guys head on. They weren't wrapping them, and that's something the coaches spoke to us about after the game and just immediately saw as a glaring issue for them.
Noah, great job tonight. We're proud of you. You and Steve did a great job. Sounded great, looked great, and that new Springfield turf looks beautiful as well. Thank you so much for joining us here, dude. You've been on the air all day. Go enjoy some time to yourself, brother, and hopefully we'll see you next week again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
There he goes, Noah Doty. One of the best. I love that guy. He's so funny. He's so good on the mic. He's come such a long way, and really has become a premier announcer here. And got a good one. I mean, when you're talking about South Range Springfield, I don't care what the final score is. I don't care who's going to be good, who's not. If they're both going to be good, if they're both going to be bad, Mike. Rivalry games are rivalry games, and when you're doing them on week 1, they just mean a little more.
They do, and the big thing is, yeah, Springfield leaves there a little discouraged tonight, but they're also going to look at this tape and be like, that offensive line's pretty good from South Range.
Mm-hmm.
They may not face another offensive line that is that good this year. And that's possible. I could be wrong. But I think, boy, Springfield has a lot to grow from on this game. Everything that Noah said is correctable for the Tigers.
Yep.
And even if you're South Range, great win, new regime, everything, they're still going to look at that tape very hard and be like, wait, we could have done this better. We could have done this better. We could have done that better. Man, we left points on the board. Both teams are saying that, win or lose. So I want to see how that week 2 just evolves for both of those programs.
I love it. I'm excited to see. And Sean Guerrero's not going to take this line down. He's going to be up their patooties and ready to go for next week. Hey, let's check out the new scores page here on YSN. And we can recap some of these awesome scores from tonight. Mike, check this out. She's a beaut, Clark. Look at that. So when you look at this, what was one game that really stood out to you tonight that you just went, oh, wow?
There's a couple that got me.
Okay.
Lowville, Columbiana. Game goes to overtime. Lowville on the road, week 1. Do you go for the tie? No. Under a new balloon, new era, they go for the win and get that one. That one stands out to me just because that was a team that expected a lot last year, fairly young this year. And boy, they go into Columbiana and they win. They rally from a 14-0 deficit, force overtime, and win that game 22-21. And then the other one is McDonald. They score within the last minute to win that game. That's a Kyle Puckett 29-yard touchdown pass with 51.3 seconds left. So no quitting McDonald. And meanwhile, that arch rival neighbor, I lied. I said 2. There's 3. Middle Ridge scores in the final minute to win their game.
Yeah.
So, like, those 3 games are just like, pow, bam, boom. They stand right out to me. And I can add another one. Canfield. Everybody, Brock Lowry, Brock Lowry, right?
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, this team, they come out. Yeah, West Branch gave them a game. But in the end, it was Mike Patlansky and company taking that one 31-19. I mean, they go and they take care of business.
All right, so you want to go do a rundown of the scores?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely.
Let's see if I can keep up with you here on the scoreboard.
Right.
You go ahead.
All right, so we can tell you that Austintown Fitch goes up to Euclid. They win. I'll update this one for you. It's 40-6. So the Falcons start the season off good. Cardinal Mooney, yes, they were down in the third quarter, but they come back. They win that one 29-26 over Mentor Lake Catholic. That is a good win for them. The news, not as good for Latonia. They fall to Fairport Harding 47-6. And here's a big one. And I know you're happy. I'm happy. They joined our YSN family last year. Orange goes to Beechwood. They win that one 49-0. Stops an 18-game losing streak. And Rob Senior, I believe,
yes, sir,
picks up his first win. Big kudos to Orange. I mean, they get the job done in week 1. And I can remember last season, once they joined us, we were tuning in and I'd be like, wow, this is tough for them. Like, they were out of games like 5 minutes into the game.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, so this is a big, big building block for them.
I love it. See, I was up at Orange last week and there was a different feeling. There's a different vibe. They've got a different helmet this year. It's all orange. We've got one. I'll be wearing it before the show's over.
There we go.
Guaranteed. As an honor to Rob Senior, to Tim Porter, and the whole Orange team to go 18 weeks. Right, that's 2 whole seasons without a win, and to start the season against your arch rival Beechwood, and you go into their house and you get a dub. Mikey, there's no feeling like it. I mean, the monkey's off the back, whichever analogy you want to pull is Orange is looking to turn a corner now. And, against Beechwood, that's a big win for them. Yeah. That's a really, really big win for them. So congratulations to Coach Senior and the Lions.
It is. And the big thing is, like, they pop off of that and you're like, wow. But I'm sure Coach is already like, I got to get these kids' heads on because this was just one win.
Word on the street is they doused them with water after it. So that's awesome.
I don't want Gatorade, guys, but, hey, water works too.
A little less sticky on the bus ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Newton Falls, nice win to start the season. But I'll tell you what, East Palestine, that game was looking very lopsided. And all of a sudden, Palestine ends up with 34 points. So that one ends 48-34. And ended up being a pretty decent ball game, I would think.
Yep.
And that I believe it was a running clock at one point. So
that's a bounce back.
That is a bounce back. So you got to like that. And then Lakeside, they took care of business against East Lake North, 22-14.
That's big.
Big one there. And then Garfield Heights Trinity all over Ashtabula St. John, 38-6. That one was big. And it came. And then Hubbard East, this one, right there, it's final, 10-6. Hubbard pulls out the victory late as they come up with that one. And then Lakeview all over LaBrea. That was a game we checked into early. It was like 22-0. Ends up being 41-14. That's a big win for the Bulldogs there to get their season started. And here's one that kind of surprised me. I thought Liberty was pretty ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Edgewood must really be ready to go because they took care of business tonight against them. 58-20 was the final. So they come in, they take care of business, and then you got to love Lisbon. They go on the road to win, no problem. 41-6 as they take care of the Bombers. And then the heartbreaker for Bob Spate. He loses in overtime. He had a 14-0 lead, but what credit to Lowville. They come back. They win that one 22-21 in overtime.
Wow. And
then East Liverpool.
Come on. Let's do a little respect on this. Paul Cusick, man, the era has begun. 50-0 over Minerva.
With fireworks. They come out of the gates. That Potters team was ready to rock and roll. And I give Coach all the credit in the world. Paul was the guy, dots the I's, crosses the T's. That is a nice win for him to begin his era down there. And a shutout, too. He'll love that defense when they look at the game film, but he's also going to nitpick them. Well, you could have, you got to buy a shoestring there. No, we can't have that.
Yeah.
He's a guy that takes care of business. And then Poland. Wow, the Bulldogs. We thought they could be good. They made a statement tonight. They went down to Quaker, and boy, they let Salem have it. 38-6. And that one was, I thought it was going to be closer. I thought Poland could win. I thought Salem could win coming into it. But I think the thing that stood out to me and just watching that offensive line for the Bulldogs, they had a chip on their shoulder. They went into that game and they legit just said, we're going to take care of business. And they were throwing their muscle around. And the backs, which back did you want to hit you from Poland? Because first, the guard hit me coming through, and the back decides, I'm going to lower my shoulder and pop you too.
Look out for Natoli.
Yeah.
My goodness. Natoli and meatballs, man. It's coming through.
Yeah, it was. They really served up something that I liked. I want to see how they play moving forward because we know what their schedule is going to be like in a few weeks in that NEA.
I want to interject real quick. If you've got a Boardman final, we've been looking for it. We had an update for them. If you got a Boardman final, we'd appreciate it. We know the Spartans were up against it. We can get that inserted into our final scores tonight. And I know B. Miller's out there feverishly getting the final scores in and trying to update this. So when we take our break here in a couple minutes, we'll update and everything. Couple comments: Edgewood 58, Liberty 20 final, and then Sam chime in and says Edgewood is one to watch this year.
Well, Sammy, give us a call, man. Come on. You can come on here. We love the 440 on the show.
Who we got next?
Springfield.
Oh.
We already, we talked about that one.
Mhm.
South Range 41-14. They set the tone early and often, and they let everybody know that they're not going to be a pushover.
Yep.
We got a bullseye on us. Go ahead and go for that bullseye because we might be punching your bullseye even harder.
Yeah.
And Southern McDonald, a game again, right down to the wire. McDonald scores with under a minute to go. They come away with just a fantastic win, 25-22 as they come away. And then the shutout, Camel gets their first win, 30-0 as they beat St. Thomas Aquinas.
Good for them.
I thought they'd win the game. Boy, that defense played well. I mean, they come in there and they come up with it. Hey, Brandon,
Thank you.
We like that. Kenston, 50-13. We don't like the result for Boardman, but we do like that we got the final.
Thanks, Brandon.
And we move along. Steubenville Central Catholic goes into Wellsville. No problem for them as they whoop the Tigers tonight, 37-6. And also you have Beaver Local Struthers. How about Struthers? That's a team I expected some big things from, 37-20 as they beat the Beavers. So very impressive road win. Not an easy place to go and win because that place at Beaver Local, those fans are rabid. They love their Beavers.
Yeah.
And they're probably pretty mad right now. I would not want to be in the McKenzie house tonight.
I mean, it's one of those things, though, like it's not the end of the
Right.
year. You know what I mean? It's one game. And no matter how much it hurts, it's one game. You still got 9 in front of you at least. So, take this as what it is. It's one game. And now tomorrow, watch it, digest it, and get better.
Yeah. Yeah. Get that bad taste out of your mouth.
Yep.
Even if you got the good taste in your mouth, tomorrow's a new day. You're 1-0, but that now means you better get better. If you're 0-1, you definitely want to get better. So I think that's the way a lot of people will look at those. And then some of the other games that we got, Valley Christian, they go into Crestview. They deliver a nice win, 30-12. Andy Haig's team came ready to play.
Dangerous.
I mean, watching them early on, and Crestview looked like that defense was going to give something. And all of a sudden, once Andy Haig's offense figured something out, it was rolling.
2 words, Mikey. Jay-Sean Lindsay.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, is that kid going to be good? He's going to be so good.
Yeah. So you got that one. And then United at home, they open up against Waterloo 41-6. Courtney, he's pretty good.
I mean, what can't that kid do?
Yeah, that kid is Mr. Everything for them. He is so much fun to watch. And then Canfield, like we were talked about earlier, 38-19. They get the job done. The defending state champs come away with a win. Some of the scores that we didn't have video of the games tonight. Brookfield loses to Norwayne 59-7. Fairport Harbor over Latonia 47-6. Malvern beats Western Reserve 26-7. Garrettsville Garfield a winner over Cardinal 42-0. So that wraps up your scores. And man, the way I look at it, some surprises, some that we thought would be good, some that we thought would win, but just not the way they won or how big they won.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this, and we got a chance to, on the Audible call, to sit back and really look at some of the talent that this year is going to offer. Is there anybody that you saw that really stands out to you that you're going to look here in the next 9 weeks and say, that is an MVP candidate? That's the offensive player of the year. Because obviously there was a couple defensive games, but most of these games were pretty offensive.
Pick your poison from Fitch. I mean,
speaking of, look who we have.
There we
Mr.
go.
Ty Bartell.
There we go.
Wait,
that
wait.
was a great time.
Time out, Ty. You cannot be driving and doing this at the same time. Are you driving?
No, we're about to pull into a gas station anyway. I'm going to need to get something to refuel after that one, too. A lot of Fitch offense in week 1, I tell you guys. But, I mean, honestly, we look at this, and it was the return of Deshaun Vaughn, too, after that season-ending injury last year. He came back, and he showed us what he can do. Both sides of the ball. Had a pick 6 to open up the scoring for the Falcons, and then he had 2 passing touchdowns as well. And showcases what he can do, his talent level, both sides of the ball. I know you talked to TJ Parker a little bit about Deshaun DJ and what he can do prior to week 1, and he laid it all out there. And of course, DJ Williams was DJ Williams again, 2 rushing touchdowns for him, business as usual. And it's like Fitch just every time you lose a big piece, Jamel James missing at running back. Okay, we'll insert DJ Williams. Devin Sherwood missing at quarterback. Okay, we'll insert Deshaun Vaughn. It's just they always have an answer for that missing piece, and they showcased it once again tonight.
Did it look to you like Vaughn was on a mission? Because at least from where we were here at Athletics, it looked like he was taking what happened last year in his injury very personally, and he's trying to make up for it this year.
You'll be able to catch a little bit of an interview that I did with Deshaun after, and I kind of asked him too how that felt too through the 4 quarters of the game too, and just you know how that feels. You know how those players, how these athletes, these student athletes are so hungry too, and he's been thinking about that ever since last year when he went down with injury in that St. V's game, or before that St. V's game, and how they were knocked out because of St. V's too. He wasn't able to play in it. That sat with him, that marinated with him a whole off season, and he let it all out on the gridiron tonight.
I thought it was just impressive defensively. I mean, Euclid's usually pretty good offensively, and what they did to them defensively, they just shut them down.
It was another impressive defensive stop, and of course TJ Parker, being the perfectionist he is, telling me too there's so many things we need to work on this team too going into next week, and of course you see that. But I like the bounce back ability after mistakes. Fitch had two turnovers, an interception and a fumble inside Euclid's red zone, but they didn't let Euclid have that be a turning point for momentum. They still kept momentum firmly in their court, and they carried it through 4 quarters of play too, really never letting Euclid get close in this one.
I like the smile on your face, like, oh. You know dang well that TJ Parker's sitting there going, good, nope, unacceptable, nope, okay, we'll get better. We have to get better.
There's also just I'm smiling because of just the amount of high character athletes on this team, man. There's so many just good young men that are just so fun to talk to too, so respectable and just so knowledgeable about what they're doing. And I think that's the best part too, is just being able to talk with them after the game too, after a win especially, and just seeing the smiles on their faces, knowing that a hard weeks of work has paid off for them on a Friday night.
Ty, it's one of those things. Was there anything surprising to you? I mean, Fitch seems like a team on a mission because nobody's talking about them. TJ says that they're a team that they don't need to be motivated necessarily by anybody else. They motivate themselves. Did anything surprise you tonight?
The amount of sophomore and freshmen that have gotten playing time in tonight's game that made impacts. A running back by the name of DeAndre Richard, a freshman, was coming out of the gates hot in that second half. They were using him as a primary back because Coach Parker talked about trying that injury overload, trying to manage injuries by giving more guys touches to try to get less touches from your big name players. Well, you create other big name players apparently when you do that. DeAndre Richard was one of those guys. He also capped off a 34-yard touchdown run for his first of his career. So shout out to that young man on that one. He had a big game tonight, and a lot of just of those younger sophomore freshmen stepping up, and that's what you need to be, good from the top down, man.
Ty, we appreciate you, man. Please be safe. Don't be on your phone and driving at the same time. We need you too much, brother. We need you too much.
Yeah, no problem. I'm about to go give this Sunoco some of my business, and we'll get geared up for week 2, boys.
Sunoco, not an official sponsor of YSN.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you guys.
See
you, Ty. There he goes, Ty Bartell. How do you not love that kid?
Love him. I've sat in the booth with him, prepared, does his homework. Can't be happier for a guy who gets the job well done. And
you know what? He's battled some adversity the last few weeks, losing his dad, who's a huge fan of YSN, and he's doing what he loves, and he couldn't wait to get back. And that's when you learn it. And I know when Ty's out there, a lot of the stuff he's leaving out there is for his old man, because his dad watched and listened to every single one of them. So, Jim, we know you're watching, and we know you're proud of your baby boy because he's doing a great job, and he's eating some Sunoco food in about 2 minutes. So
he's about to get a Coca-Cola, a Snickers bar, fill up, and 4 tire change and back on the road.
Oh, you asked for him, so here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Ashtabula's finest, Mr. Sam Torres. Maybe, and Sam, you can tell me if I'm wrong, the only more anxious person over the last month than yours truly is that guy right there, Sam Torres.
Absolutely. I think that's an accurate statement. But you know what? Here we are. It's the electric score, the Joe Electric scoreboard. We're through week 1, and what a week 1 this has already been. I mean, one of the greatest things is with being with YSN is during calling the games is you can just follow what the scores are going on. And you've got all these games kind of dog-eared in your head and just watching through and listening to a great group of announcers, during half times and, the staggered starts. It was great. It's a great way to start the season off. Unfortunately for the Heralds, it wasn't as great as they wanted to go, but, just touching a little bit on that game. There was a lot that kind of went wrong, and I don't know if they got the yips or what, but there were some special teams plays that really kind of changed the outcome of that game. You got 2 muffed punts in that game that resulted in touchdowns, and it's hard to come back from that. But shout out to them for continuing. Both of those schools very, very small, so you saw starters all the way till the very, very end. So St. John actually pulls a touchdown out at the end of the game, and continuing to fight. It's a team that they're listed at 23, but I think they only dressed about 19 guys tonight. So, it was good to see those kids keep going.
Sammy, did you catch any of the final scores, or do you want Mike to run it down one last time?
I was I was listening to it in the car, on my way. I pull in everybody talks about, everybody's got Red Zone and they follow the NFL. Give me YSN all day. I'm a Mike Ack freak, so as soon as he starts talking, I'm listening.
I love it. So Mike, let's do this. Because Sam's going to be our last interview tonight. Okay. Run down the scores one more time. And Sam, listen for ones that really surprise you. I want to hear kind of your reaction whenever Mike tails it off.
Pitch 40-6 over Euclid. Cardinal Mooney goes to Menor Lake Catholic, wins 29-26. East Palestine falls to Newton Falls 48-34. Lakeside winner over East Lake North 22-14. Garfield Trinity Heights beats Ashtabula St. John 38-6. East falls to Hubbard in the final minute by the score of 10-6. Girard all over Jefferson 42-21. LeBray gets hammered by Lakeview 41-14. It is Edgewood 58-20 over Liberty. Wyndham loses to Lisbon 41-6. It is Lowville in overtime going for a 2-point conversion to beat Columbiana 22-21. East Liverpool 50-0 over Minerva. Pie Valley losing to Middle Ridge late in that game, 29-22 as they give up a big touchdown. Poland hammers Salem tonight, 38-6 in Quakertown. Springfield, no match from the defending state champs South Range, 41-14. McDonald scores in the final minute to win their game against Southern, 25-22. Shutout by Camel over St. Thomas Aquinas, 30-0. 37-6, Steubenville Central Catholic over Wellsville. Beaver Local falls to Struthers, 37-20. Crestview falls at home to Valley Christian, 30-12. United 41-6 over Waterloo. West Branch can't get it done in Canfield tonight as the defending state champ Cardinals win 38-19. Boardman lost to Kenston. Orange snaps an 18-game losing streak as they shut out Beechwood 49-0. Garrettsville, Garfield 42, Cardinal 0. Malvern, a winner over Western Reserve 26-7. Norway 59-7 over Brookfield. And lastly, it is Fairport Harbor over Latonia 47-6. I do have one other score. Somebody texted me while we were on here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up for you. It's on my phone. I just got to open it up. And it is, let me find it here for you. Edison. They beat Monroe Central 34-14. So Edison, and the helmet is on, Sam. You can see it. He promised the people from Orange he put the Lion Roars tonight.
Let's go, O.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, looking at going through those scores, some of the ones that stand out to me, obviously I want to send a huge shout out to Orange because it's a high school. It's a program that I'm really familiar with because in Ashtabula, that CBC is a big has been a conference. It's been a big deal around here for a long time. And Orange they have had some rough goes of it. There has been some times where, those kids really had to dig deep because, going on 2 years or almost or over 2 years without getting a W, it's hard to keep, the horses at bay. And they came out this year and like DJ said, we were there last week. There's a different feel. When you walked into Orange, you weren't walking into a program that was supposed to be the whipping boy. This was a bunch of guys. They were ready to get back to it, and they're showing what they're doing. Some of the other scores standing out. Obviously, Edgewood stands out to me. That high-powered offense, 58 points against a very athletic, a very good Liberty, is something to be watched. That's why I said they're a team to watch this year, because to go out there and they are typically a slow-starting team too, and that's another thing that people will maybe not learn this year because they're going to change that. But the one score that kind of sticks out to me, Garrettsville Garfield. Cardinal is not a bad team. Garrettsville Garfield is – I got to watch them against Conneaut last year, and I was taken aback. The boys can play. Those boys can play.
No, that's incredible. Dude, what a night. Have you had a chance to kind of really step back and realize what you did for Ashtabula County yet, dude?
I haven't yet, but I'll tell you what, when 6:55 hit tonight and I looked and saw that we got 8 schools in this county, and of those 8 schools, 7 of those schools are going to be broadcast if you count Thursday. It's a dream come true. And when I started 3 years ago and it was the 440 and Goal show, it was about exposure, and we link up with the best sports group in the nation, NYSN, and we're bringing it, this is Spinal Tap. We turned it to 11, and I don't know if these youngsters, I don't know if they realize what they're getting out of this. Like, this was they talk about food deserts. This was a broadcast desert. Like, there was nothing. And what we've done is we've increased it 100%. And whatever part, I'm not taking credit for all of it, because there's a lot of moving pieces, including you guys, including the great crews that went out there tonight. And really, for the first time, you got Larry Jennings and Michael Ekshik going out to Edgewood and calling a game. Tyler Hartz and Sean Prine calling their games tonight at Edgewood. We, linking up with the WOW guys from Conneaut. This has been a dream come true. Like, tonight, I can't wait. I got some Taco Bell up there waiting, and a Mexican pizza as I sit back and rewatch the games, because that's what I'm doing. I'm super excited.
Oh man, I'm so proud of you. I know how hard you worked for this moment, for tonight, and it was an absolute victory, man. I was told that we broke records tonight with our views, and we only used, because we have this brand spanking new site, we used 8% capacity of our site. So that means we got 92% to go, man. I want to buy a new site because I wanted to know that we're covering that many kids, so that's priority number 1. Samuel, I love you. I appreciate you, man. Great job tonight. Go enjoy your Taco Bell.
I'll see you guys next week, baby. I can't wait. It's football season, baby. Merry Christmas.
Sam Torres. Oh, it doesn't get much better than him, man. And you know what? As much as we love this area, let's face it, for the most part, you've been a guy that had to, because you're a Pennsylvania guy, you had to do the majority of your career over in Western PA. But you know how much this area, both Western PA and Northeast Ohio, bleeds this time of year. Sam, he wanted this so bad, and he's worked so hard. He said the broadcast desert up there, he's not lying. But that guy changed it. When I met Sam, it was like looking in a mirror, but it was like a mirror from like 3-4 years ago, right? And he did it tonight. I know the feeling, and I'm so proud of him. I'm incredibly proud.
I am too. Like, they were bought in. Like, when that crew came last year, I remember them coming down, and we were talking to them, and they were like, "Come on, man!" And I was like, "I love these guys!" Like, right from the get-go.
Yeah. And
we had a great season with them. And then we went to the state finals, and they threw up everything that we did there, and they were into it. Like, they just bought in. And now for what they got tonight, to have 7 games of what's in their county is incredible. And it's only going to get bigger and better. I know more people are looking for this, and it's incredible what it gives the student athletes, just their coverage, for the fans, for the grandparent that maybe lives in Texas, they can see their grandson play. And this is funny, like it was, as we were getting about halftime tonight, I didn't even have to ask you twice. I'm like, make sure we get some bands on. And it's big. Like,
It's huge.
It's
Because
just,
they work hard too.
yeah, they work hard. We show cheerleaders when we can,
Yep.
and it's like, it's a whole combination that makes one season come together for everybody. And when we say people look forward to this, I joke with you in May, but I'm kind of serious.
I know you
Like,
are.
I'm kind of serious because, like, I live for this.
Yeah.
Like, I love this. And, like, the 1 year I didn't do it, I missed it. Terrible. And I'm glad I'm back.
We're glad to have you, man. Always. What a night. All right, last question I have for you, dude, as we're going to get to the comment here real quick. Hey, look, Brandon chiming in. Hey, he gave us our help, so we got to shout him out. Thanks, YSN. I got to watch my alma mater, Edgewood Warriors from Columbus, Ohio, and I recruited for Air Force in the Trumbull and Mahoning County schools, and it's great to keep up on schools I still have friendships with, all that stuff. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for the help getting the scores, man. That's huge. You're welcome here anytime. We'd love to make you an honorary YS Nation member. So thank you very, very much. I got a question for you. And I know it's way too early to think about this, but what team goes the furthest this year? We've seen them all now. Week 1 in the books. What team, to close out this show, in Mike Ackelson's eyes, who's been doing this for over 3 decades, goes the furthest this year? Prediction sure to go wrong, I guess, because we all know it's all up in the air in week 1.
Well, I'm going to go back to the team that won last night. I think when you get a game out of the gate, the magnitude that Ursuline had to face perennial state power Steubenville, and to me, they made a statement. Yes, it was a close game, and it should have been a close game, but they won that game with Dan Reardon. I can tell you, he probably put a good 10 months in to making sure his team was ready to go from the gate. And right now, if I had to pick a team, and I'm not showing any slight to anybody because that's going to change over the next few weeks, and we know that. But if I had to pick one team right now, I'm on that Irish band.
That's your horse.
That's my horse because they did what they had to do.
Incredible.
And I'm like, I can't wait to see.
They look good. They
look good, but imagine how much better they'll be next week.
I know.
Because I guarantee you, I know Dan. He just sat there and he's like, it's a nice win.
How many times did he watch that game film today?
He's probably watched it 4 times already.
You think?
Yeah, and he has dissected it, ripped apart, and those kids probably walked in like, oh, yeah, sit down. You sit down right now. You see that block. If you would have held that block, we would have scored on that play. We wouldn't have scored 2 plays later.
That's a champion's mentality, though.
It's just his mentality. I love it. I've always loved it, and it's just fantastic. There's several others that will peak. We'll make little predictions each week. And I'll flip it to you. If you saw a team and you can't pick Ursuline because I did first.
Oh my God. All right.
Give me one that just popped off the charts, or maybe even a surprise.
I mean, this is a homer pick, 100%, because I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But when South Range walks away 41-14, after all they've been through, after losing the quite possibly, and in my eyes, humble opinion, the greatest coach that's ever coached there, that's ever been stood on those sidelines, and Dan Yeagley, you just don't know. But you got a guy that is built with character, dignity, grace, and David Rock that comes in to honor the very same coach that he had, very same coach that showed him the way. And those kids, I'm telling you, are going to play for him. I remember last year at Legends when Dave agreed to come on the show with us, and every single chair was turned around. Now, like, that's not to say that's not for everybody else, but everybody's eating and also literally they stopped what they did and they paid attention to every word. That's respect. That's respect to the parents, the kids, the community. And when you have a coach that you want to run through a wall for, And that's exactly what happened. Because I'm going to tell you, Mike, Springfield does not look in week 2 and the rest of the season like they look tonight.
No.
South Range did that. That is a state champion team. And I'm riding with them. I'm riding with them again. I apologize for anybody that thinks that I wasn't riding with them in the first place. That was never the case. That'll never be the case. But I like South Range. I mean, if you don't look at that score and we'll go, oh boy, they're back. South Range is going to be South Range.
They are. Here's a scary thought. My favorite team, as everybody knows, is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sure.
Right? Since I was a kid, they've had 3 head coaches. Do you know, if I'm correct, and I believe I am, from my tenure in Youngstown of covering high school football, Coach Rock is only the 3rd coach at South Range.
I know you're right. I know you're right.
That tells you what that program is built upon.
The standard is the standard, man.
It is.
I love
You'll
it.
love that.
I do love it. And you know what? Again, people are going to look at that Springfield score and they're going to think Springfield is not who they thought Springfield was. I'm telling you, go ahead and sleep on the Tigers and see what happens. Sleep on them.
I'll ride with them Tigers.
I love, like Sean Guerrero, one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
I love when he calls me because I know I'm going to get my chops busted. I know it. I pick up the phone knowing that there's a one-liner, a zinger coming at me. But I can tell you right now, he's not resting comfortably because he's looking at this and thinking to himself, my gosh, my golly, my boys are going to ride next week. And they're probably going to do some running tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bring the running shoes. But at the end of the day, like a rivalry game like that, let's go. Range has got me excited, dude. They've got me excited.
I love it.
That's going to do it for our show, man. The 30th season of the Overtime Report, a guy that was there for, were you all 30?
25 of them.
25 of them. I mean, 30 seasons of the Overtime Report. Still, to me, the best report out there on television. Dana and the crew going to take over here in about 12 minutes or so on Channel 21 WFMJ. I want to thank Jack Gerdick over and over and over again. I know he's got a special place in your heart, a special place in mine. He and his team have been so influential in helping us. Anything we need. You know, there's so many stories that I could tell you about Jack Gerdick and the character and how much he actually cares about us at YSN and his employees. So just wanted to give him a shout out and say thank you for everything he does. That goes recognized and unrecognized because that's just the kind of guy he is and believing in us when nobody was.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That was the shot in the arm. And it's been a shot in the arm every day. I got to pinch myself. So, and I don't like shots. So, Mike, any final thoughts?
I can't wait to see how week 2 unfolds. And I'm excited. Hopefully we're dry next week the whole way through. That was my biggest fear. Like, just because I was watching stuff from home last night and I'm going, no, we're not starting this way.
Yeah.
Because I almost was going to look at you. Friday night was going to be bad. I was going to tell the people at the racetrack, like, hey, I made an audible call.
Omaha.
We're going to do football, because we have to.
Yep.
And we want to.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. I think I want to see how some teams bounce back, and I want to see how some teams look off of a great first week.
Awesome.
Don't rest on your laurels. Come ready to go, because week 2 will hit you in the mouth if you're not ready.
Week 1 in the books, man. We did it. That's a dub in my column.
We got 9 to go.
YSN wins again. All right, that's going to do it. For Mike Ackelson, I'm DJ Yoakley. You can catch all the scores, and we will be, I'm sure I'll be up for a while doing some stories here in a little bit when I get back to my humble abode and get nestled in with a little hot cocoa down in the man cave. So on behalf of Mike Ackelson, DJ Yoakley saying good night, congratulations to week 1, and welcome back, football fans. We're happy to have you. YSN thanks you